Hi guys. So how are you doing? Let me make sure we're live. Aha! It's live. Okay, so I'm using this fancy program that Jordan has finally called OBS. It's not really fancy, it's a free open source thing, but I think I have it figured out now. So when we talk about articles, I can actually show you the article, and it's so exciting. So, okay, as promised in our last chat when I was talking with you guys, we are going to be talking about the Waltons. So the Waltons, and they're not alone in this. There's also Bill Gates, Betsy DeVos, and many other oligarchs who are combining forces, the forces of evil, to try to privatize education across the United States. And I have seen their handiwork in Houston. So to kind of show you guys what they're doing, we're going to talk about the microcosm of what's going on in Houston and talk about the national effects of what they're doing nationwide. Because even though most of my reporting is in Houston, especially when we talk about the Waltons and privatizing education, we do see the effects on a national scale. So, here we go. Let's see, there's hotkeys on this, and I got the hotkeys to change over to desktop, and that's not working. So I'm not going to use the hotkeys, I'm just going to do this. Sorry about that trippiness, but we're going to go over here, and we're going to go over here. So, before we get started on this article, I need you guys to realize this is April 16th. So there's a lot of information in here that we're going to talk about that's still pertinent. But there's also some other information in here that is not going to be as pertinent because it happened in April 16th and this was Houston based. So the heirs of Walmart, the Waltons, are well known for being school choice. They committed in 2016 to spend $1 billion on charters over 5 years. The Walton Foundation has a website that has public charter startup grant. Like, I'm not even joking. Look at this. It's basically... So if you are a startup, a corporation startup, and you needed help getting started, this is a get up and go tool, but instead for charters. So we're going to scroll down. Stuart Walton is on the National Board of Leadership for Educational Equity, LEE, which is heavily entrenched with Teachers for America. TFA has a Walton Family Foundation K-12 education program that they openly talk about on their website. Again, I'm not even lying. This is real life. I'm going to click there. See, Teach for America, right there. Company, the Walton Foundation. They are heavily entrenched with each other. In 2011, Lee gave Teach for America $49.5 million grant for a period of 2 years, then gave them another $50 million grant in 2015 for a period of 3 years. It's 2018, and that 3-year grant from 2015 is about to expire. If you go onto Lee's search tool, you can see that they're heavily involved with charters. So right here it says last week the Board of Trustees, but remember this is from April. So we're going to skip some of that. At some point, I'm going to talk about this. Texas law forces school districts into privatization and holds democracy hostage. That is related. We're not going to talk about it right now, but that will be a separate video because that is insanity in itself. So one of our board members in Houston, Holly Maria Flynn Villaseca, she has she has donations from $15,000 directly from the Waltons. Look at that. Alice Walton, Jim Walton, Stuart Walton, $5,000 each. And Villaseca has also taught with Teach for America. Oops, my bad. Some other trustees received money from the Leadership for Education. Now this is where things get really interesting. I'm going to come back over here. So this is where things are about to get really interesting as far as Houston's concerned, because we are going to start seeing layers and layers and layers. Stuart Walton, Alice Walton, one of the Waltons is on the board for KIPP, which is a charter. They are a national charter. They have their tentacles nationally everywhere, and they have a heavy presence in Houston. So we're about to dive into that. I'm going to look at the comments real quick to see if everyone's good. It's Sam, keep it old school. Yay, Sam is awesome. Thanks, guys. I am awesome. Privatization, detrimental, brainwashing by special groups. Yes, brainwashing by special groups. And also, a lot of these charters are leading to data mining. Back in 2010, Obama... There's this thing called FERPA, and that's where student information is private, right? Well, around 2009, 2010, they found a way to circumvent that by saying that we need students' data for research. Okay, so student data for research has turned into, okay, we need data for this, we need data for that, to standardize testing, to more tablets and computers in the school. So we're starting to see a lot of charters systematically remove teachers, because teachers are expensive. They're not something you want. It's akin to getting rid of cashiers and putting them in with self-check. It's akin to that, and replacing it with tablets. And when the kids on the tablet, they're sucking up their data. And this is really problematic, especially in terms of school-to-prison pipeline. If you're a part of a oppressed group and you're 3-4 years old and you're, a black boy and you're already facing oppression tactics put in by the school, they're also going to be collecting your data from the time that you're very young and start pushing you in that direction. It's just, okay, so I did an interview with this doctor of education. His name's Pat Huff. Both parties are dismantling public education. He is a professor at St. Thomas University. I did an interview with him on my Facebook page. I'll be revisiting him and having another interview with him at the end of the summer, because down here in Houston, we're seeing democracy being systematically removed. And he has a lot to say about that. But anyway, data. We're gonna go back to the article, because I've already, there's the problem with this topic is, or well, with any topic really, is that there's so many other points you can go to that tie back into this problem. So it's not just, oh, this is one issue and this is this. No, it's like 10, 20 other issues attacking this issue, and it's all just eating each other up, and until, it's just like it's a mess. It's a total mess. So we're going to go back to this desktop. Please excuse the trippiness, because I'm still learning. So there's this thing in Houston called the GPS Action Pack. It was formed in 2017 by Houstonians for Greater Public Schools, which has 5 board members. This pack has donated to a lot of the trustees lots of money. Weekly Properties is one of the developer/oligarchy people present in Houston that is actively working on gentrifying. They donated a lot to the mayor and city council. They're also on boards within the city, and they are donors for the GPS Action Pack. This is how much they donated: $10K, $10K each, $5,000 to Jones. All right, so this is where things are going to tie back to Walmart. So this Houston GPS pack, Joseph G. Greenberg, is on the board for Houstonians for Greater Public Schools. However, he's also on Houston's Teach for America board. Weren't we just talking about Teach for America and their ties to the Waltons? Oh, I forgot to tell you. Also that Alice Walton is on the board for Teach of America. So nationally, Alice Walton is on the board for Teach of America. Here in Houston, microcosmically, there's a Teach for America down here, and this guy who's on the pack for Greater Public Schools is also on the board for Teach of America, which is directly tied to the Waltons. Okay, and also tied to Leadership for Educational Equity, which is tied to Alice's brother, Stuart Walton. Okay, it's a lot. I know, it sucks. All right, we're going to go back to this trippy mode because I don't know how to do it how Jordan does quite yet. Greenberg is also a member of Yes Prep Schools, which in March 2018, they received $790,000 from the Walton Foundation. So even though Yes Prep Schools isn't inherently tied through chapters through the Walton Foundation is still contributing money to these organizations. Yes Prep Schools is also a nationwide organization. So who else is on the board of Yes Prep Schools? Reverend Leslie Smith, who was on the board of Houstonians for Greater Public Schools. Foshi, a president, he's also on the board for Houstonians for Greater Public Schools, but he's also on the executive board for KIP. Okay. And he made a donation, an in-kind, for the PAC. So, and the Walton family is honored as one of KIP's 5 million donors, and Carrie Walton Penner, a Walton, is on KIP's board. Yes. I'm going to come back over here. Hi. Johnny Nice, why did you condone the idea of firebombing conservative? Okay. Hi, Johnny Nice. So before we can continue on, I want to address this real quick. This guy's not a conservative. He's a right-wing propagandist. I work with conservatives. I have no beef with conservatives. I have beef with people who defend Nazis. And this guy who has been actively getting his base to go after this one person who got beef with him on social media defends Nazis. So before this one person said on a social media post via emojis to firebomb, he had already been attacking her. So they've had their own beef, and he defends Proud Boys Nazis. He actively does on his website. He perpetuates Nazi propaganda. He doesn't call himself a Nazi, but when condoning firebombing conservatives, I'm sorry it came off that way. It's not conservatives that I have beef with. It's people who defend Nazi propaganda. So, anyway, thank you for that question, Johnny. I understand that that's a concern, and I get that. But in that situation, in the video I was talking about previously, it's a right-wing propagandist defending Nazi propaganda. So, not sure I'm happy with this response, but I'm glad you addressed it. Yeah, I'm happy to address it. I don't defend people who defend Nazis. I don't. So, anyway, back to the Waltons. So we are seeing the Waltons on a national board. We see them on KIP. We see them on Teach for America. We see them Leadership, Educational Equity. And we also see people like Bill Gates. Bill Gates is also tied into this, along with Steve Jobs. Well, when he was alive. The Jobs, Apple Foundation stuff, they also have ties with charters. And what's kind of ridiculous, though, is if you look at, here, let me take you to the Leadership Teach for America stuff. So, Leaders in Education PAC, this is tied to Stuart Walton. He also contributes to this PAC. And as you can see, 100% to Democrats, 0% to Republicans in the 2018 cycle. If we go to 2016, The PAC didn't do anything. So this is a recent PAC. We keep stigmatizing, again, we're going back to conservatives, like Betsy DeVos for her stance on wanting to privatize public schools. But when you look at where the money is going with charters and private education people, it's going to Democrats. Now, I'm not saying that the Republicans are also guilty of this, because they are, but we see the Democrats playing a heavy hand in this as well. Like when I went to the Texas Democratic Convention, there was a school choice booth there. And it was disturbing to see, because on one hand, you know, all these liberals are like, oh, these Republicans want to privatize our schools, Betsy DeVos is the worst. But then on the other hand, they're also condoning school choice. And that's something we've seen in Houston. Most of the school board in Houston are Democrats. So during one of the more heated board meetings, there was a student who came up to the board and was like, hey, so you're wanting to charter like Betsy DeVos wants and like Trump wants. Are you Trump? Do you align with Trump? And the Democrats' faces, they were just like it didn't even occur to them that maybe some of their policies were similar to Trump policies. So anyway, that's all I got for now. There's a lot more going on in Texas. There is bipartisan laws being used to try to systematically remove what's left of democracy and like remove the democratic system, right? So there is a democratically elected school board. Boop, so you can see my fingers. There's a democratically elected school board. And they're trying to remove that. One thing is having money in politics, right? We talk about having money in politics and how money influences policy way, way too much. But then where is the line between them using the law to have money in politics to influence policy and removing the democratic system? So that'll probably be our next talk, because that is something else. It is something else. So I am going to figure out how to get off and broadcast, and I will be seeing you guys later. Bye.